Opposition leader Penelope Beckles says another extension of the state of emergency still leaves one fundamental question unanswered. What is the government's long-term plan to fight crime? She argues that while the government has pointed to reductions in crime, citizens have not been provided with enough data to assess whether the strategy is working.
This is now going to be another extension, and the issue still remains: what is the government's crime plan? What is the government's strategy to treat the crime? And therefore, and what's the data? I mean, it's one thing for you to tell us that you have a reduction in crime. What's the data? I mean, if you go on the police website, I think the average citizen must be able to have the kind of information where you too, if you want to make an analysis, you will see there have been X amount of murders, there have been serious crimes, are down, and that the government is telling us that you have a strategy.
The opposition leader also criticized the Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar for what she described as limited engagement with the media. Beckles says governing through social media platforms is no substitute for directly addressing the concerns of citizens.
The Prime Minister is not making herself available and accessible to the media. So just as how you are asking me, if you're not going to support it, why you're not going to support it? And the Prime Minister cannot continue this governance by TikTok and Facebook because it's not clear to the people. If you offered yourself and you said when UNC wins, everybody wins, and if you say to the public that we have a plan, we are going to reduce crime, it cannot simply be a state of emergency.
Former National Security Minister Stuart Young echoed concerns about the extension, arguing that emergency powers should not be used to restrict lawful public expression.
Opposition has already made its position clear. Looking at the newspaper this morning, where you saw the government, no less than the Prime Minister, put out her push for the reasoning for the extension of the state of emergency, it falls flat in my view. There's no justification for it. And my concern is what we've seen them use the state of emergency regulations to do is to suppress legitimate citizens from expressing their views. A democracy, the government needs to be reminded we live in a democracy, and part of democracy is that citizens have a right, if they are dissatisfied with the government, to voice their concerns and to do so. And what we've seen is an unprecedented use of these states of emergency to suppress that, and that's one.
Meanwhile, Port of Spain South MP Keith Scotland says he has received numerous complaints from families of persons being held under preventative detention orders.
The complaints from the constituents, Port of Spain South, are numerous. I am cautious about the complaints because I understand that there are two sides, but I think that the complaints are real, and the families of these persons who are being held under the PGOs, they are suffering.
Charlotte Kisto, TV6 News.